Good morning, everyone. JP here at Websites for Beginners, and welcome to another tutorial. And we are doing the absolute beginners edition on WordPress. Now, if you've been with the channel, you would know that we have videos very similar to this. The reality is 2020. No, it's not actually 2020. The reality is WordPress and how the world works. Things are changing all the time. And we've had quite a number of updates to WordPress in the last few months, which makes almost everything I had shown just a couple of months ago a little bit different. And that's one of the reasons we are doing the redoing, rather, of this WordPress Beginners Edition. The second reason is that as I was preparing for this tutorial, I had gone through a lot of stuff that I usually use for WordPress. And I realized that even though these are my go-to favorites, I found them a little bit outdated. There have been many new plugins and themes and available apps that have come onto the market in just the last year, and they are, at the end of the day, superior to the old workhorses, which is kind of sad because you have these apps that you've been coming with such a long time, and then this new young app comes along and you don't want to use it, but the more you look at it, the more you realize, yeah, it's better, I have to use that. And that's kind of the second reason I'm redoing this, because I want to bring in the fresh content into this. Now, who is this tutorial for? Absolute beginners. People who know nothing about WordPress. You've heard that you can make your website within it and you want to try it, you don't know where to start, then I'm going to show you with these editions that we have here at Websites for Beginners how to do that. The second kind of person who may enjoy this video is the one that's bored. You have nothing to do at home. It's a lazy day and you just need somebody to put you to sleep. Then just throw this video up there in the background, and this would be an ideal way to get yourself off to dreamland. And the third person is if you just want to have a refresher into WordPress. I want to say something actually here. Though we won't be touching on page builders per se in this video, we do cover a lot page builders, and I will explain to the newcomers over time what a page builder is. But I've seen a lot of problems in the last few months and years again on forums where people are asking questions about page builders, and that shows you that they actually don't know WordPress. A lot of the functionality that comes into page builders, for example, when you build out a blog post or when you create a e-commerce store with a plugin like WooCommerce, you need to understand WordPress to ensure that it works well in the page builder or the site builder that you are using. And this may just be useful for people like that. You know your page builder very well, but there's a few things that you want to learn about WordPress. Good. So that's who this tutorial is for. Let's get into that. I'm going to jump off here by logging into WordPress. Wow, suddenly the screen is so bright. I am using Microsoft Edge browser for this tutorial. You can use any browser you like, preferably something like Chrome. And the reason I'm using Microsoft Edge is because it also runs on Chrome. And I've kind of gotten used to this new browser since it's been updated and really like it. Search engine still not as great, but in terms of speed and performance, I cannot complain about this browser. So you follow along in the browser you want. We're going to log in. And the first thing I have to do here is put in my username and password. Now this takes us into this area, and if you look here at the top in the tab for the browser, you will see it says dashboard. And many people often make a mistake when they talk about this area of WordPress, they call it the dashboard. The dashboard is only one part of where we are. This entire area is the backend of WordPress. And the backend is where you do all the hard work. This is where you have to put in the data, you have to develop everything, you have to design everything. And then the front end is how your site looks. The dashboard is only this part here. So you can see here, what we see here in this frame is the dashboard information. Now, because I'm using a new installation of WordPress and I'm running it through a host called Bluehost, these guys pre-install certain things which I don't want to use, and I want to remove it so that you can see how we can build it up no matter how you are using WordPress, or if you're using a different host, or if you're doing it on a local host. So we will clean this up as well. Before we do that, let's talk about backend and frontend. As you can see here, this is the backend. You have everything to guide you through this, and this is where you will do the actual work. How your site looks, that is called the front end. And to see that while you are working, go up here to the toolbar, and then the one with the little house over it. If you hover over it, you will see the option to visit site. Click on that, and that is going to take you to your actual site. If a visitor were to use this URL, this domain, they will see this. This is what they will currently see on your page. This thing that says hello world and welcome to WordPress. Naturally, this is not what you want to show them. We're going to change all of that. This is the front end. And then to go back to the area where you have to do all the work, you go again here. Now where you see the little speedometer, which is your dashboard then, and you can click on dashboard. Automatically, it's going to bring you into the admin area and select dashboard for you. But you can also do this much quicker. If you go to the top here, instead of clicking on visit site, you can just click on WordPress and it's going to take you to the front. And if you click on it again, it will take you into the back, into the back, into the front, into the back, into the front. And you're going to do this a lot. This is how you're going to be designing your website. There's no getting away from it. You have to go and check all the time. How does it look on the front end? Does it look good? And then come back and make changes in the back end. If you are brand new to making sites, let's go to the front end and talk about a few things here. I'm going to activate this and let's see. Yep. Let's talk about a few components that you can see up here. The first component is this area up here where you usually have the site name or a logo. And then over here you have a menu with links you can click. And in this case, we even have a search area. This thing is called the header. And then this area here with the links you can click on, this is your menu. Then below that, this entire area usually has all your information, photos, images, which are photos, testimonials, and other kinds of stuff. Your content, this is your page. We refer to this area as your actual page. And then what you have here at the bottom, and I'm going to take a guess, grab here all the way down, is your footer area. Okay. So 3 parts that we usually work with: your header, your page, and then the footer. And this together makes your web page. So remember these components. We'll be talking a lot about them during this tutorial. Go back to the back end. Remember, just click up here. And now I want to go clean out these things. Usually when you install WordPress, like I mentioned at the beginning, there are a few things that comes pre-installed. And you can leave them. They are mostly harmless. But I'm just one of those people. I don't like clutter. I want to get those things out of the way. So you can follow along and clean out yours the same way I'm going to be cleaning out mine. And the first one I usually start with is this one over here, posts. If you click on posts, it's going to take you to the all posts section. And you will see here, it displays this post called Hello World. And this one is there by default. It comes pre-installed and I don't like it, so I delete it. To delete, you just click here on trash. That's not permanently deleted though. It just puts it in the trash can. And that's over here. Click on that. And now you can go here and select delete permanently. And now it is gone forever. Good. And you're not going to cry over that. The next one that you will find is if you go to pages and you click on that, you're going to find there are 2 pages that have been made here. When you work with multiple items and you want to apply the same function to them, select here. You'll see they're all selected, or you select them here on the left. And then bulk actions, I'm going to select from this move to trash, apply. And then the same thing, click here on the trash. And this time I'm just going to click here on empty trash. It's going to empty my trash can for me. Then I'm going to go to plugins. Now plugins are apps, additional functionality to your WordPress site. If I click on plugins, you will see that over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 plugins installed. And these plugins are installed by my host, which is Bluehost. They just put it there. They think it's very useful. You can decide if you want to keep it or not. Like I mentioned, we're going to delete them all because I want you to follow along with a clean installation. Now, some of them are active and some of them are not active. You can see these guys say activate and these guys say deactivate. So the ones that are active, we're going to select them. You see the ones with the blue. And then we go to bulk actions and we say deactivate. Then we say apply. And you will see things like this coming soon and a lot of other things disappear now. So those plugins were actually responsible for those things that you'd been seeing. And now I've taken it out. I've deactivated them. They are still here. So if I want to reactivate them, I can simply just click on activate. But I don't want to do that. I want to delete them. So I go up here, I select them all. Bulk actions, delete, apply. And now it's going to tell me, dude, when you delete this, it's gone. And I'm going to say, okay. And then it's gone. Another thing that I want to quickly show you at this point is how you can change the language of your site. I am from South Africa, so I actually have the opportunity to change the language of the site to South African English. It's not a major difference, but you can do it. If I change it to my mother tongue, which is Afrikaans, it's a major difference. The problem is I don't know 90% of the terms that we use in website design in Afrikaans, even though it's my mother tongue. So I usually stick to English. But you may come from a Chinese background where you know everything in Chinese and you would prefer using it in Chinese. Go to this area we call a sidebar, and this is the menu navigation sidebar and settings, and you can just select general. Scroll down to where you see site language, and currently by default it installs to English United States. I'll select that, and then I'm going to just show you when I go to Afrikaans and I select it, scroll down, click on Save Changes, and everything in my interface is going to change now to Afrikaans. And that makes me very scared because I'm not sure if I will find the settings again. So here it says Instellings, and then I find language again. Luckily, you can see the little icon here, Webwerftaal. And then I'm going to switch it rather to English, South Africa. A few small things may change here. You know, between the different regions, we use words a little bit differently. And those are the small changes that you will see here. For example, on the website with American English, you will see trash can. On the one for British, you will see bin. Small changes like that, but it just makes you feel a little bit more at home. A second thing I'm going to do is change the time. Now, just below, this one is the time here at UTC plus 0. I am at UTC plus 2, and I'm just going to put those two, change those two settings. There's a lot you can still change here, but I'm going to change that and save my changes. Now we're back to English. While we were busy with this process and I changed the language, this thing appeared up here in the WordPress toolbar. If I hover over it, it says translation updates. Because I used Afrikaans, which involves a lot of translation, WordPress regenerates that. So if you see that, click on it, and then you just go all the way to the bottom and you click on Update Translations. If you're not going to mess around with any of that, you will not have this issue appear at all. And it's not an issue. It's very standard. Let's just click here on Dashboard again. And now you see this dashboard. You'll get very used to this dashboard. Very familiar, good old friend in WordPress. Great. Let's create our first page. In this tutorial, we are going to make a one-page website only, which means that it's a website where you go there, you don't have an about page, you don't have a contact page, you don't have different kinds of pages, you only have one page. That's not uncommon. You find it on many websites that you just have one very long page, especially if you have a very small shop or a store that you just want to promote. Using a one page is great. And we're going to stick to one page here because it just makes the tutorial so much easier. The queue for pages you will find here in the sidebar on the left when you see this label called Pages. As I hover over it, you have two options, All Pages or Add New. Let's see what's happening here with All Pages. And this takes us to the Pages page, and you will see no pages found. Because remember, we had those 2 pages that WordPress created by default. We had deleted them, so nada. We have to create new pages from the beginning. There's the cue, add new, and click on add new. This takes us into the WordPress editor. Now, a short note on the WordPress editor. WordPress got updated to version 5 a few years ago. With that, is it already a few years? I guess it's a few years. With that, they redesigned this editor. The editor is like Word, a place where you design this page. And they gave it a name. They called it Gutenberg. But if you go into WordPress now, by default, you're not going to see the word Gutenberg anymore. But you're going to hear everybody still use this word, Gutenberg, or the name Gutenberg. And you'll hear me use this word as well. We call it the Gutenberg editor. Technically speaking, it's not the Gutenberg editor. It just kept this name from its original name. It is the WordPress editor. But if you hear me talk about the Gutenberg editor, it's the WordPress editor, and that's the area we go into now. I would recommend, if this is your first time to WordPress, to go through these few tips. It talks about the block editor. The block editor is the WordPress editor. We work with blocks, and we put all the content and information inside these blocks. So next tip, make each block your own, tra-la-la, get to know the block library, blah, learn how to use the block library. Here's a detailed guide. Cool. Click on that and go look it out, or keep watching this video. Click on Get Started. And here we are in the WordPress editor. Add title. Let's do that. We give this page a name, and because we only have one page for our site, and that page is going to be our home page, I'm going to give it a name that I can remember it easily, and that is going to be Home. I type that. Next, I'm going to save my page. For this, you go here and you click on Publish, and then you will see this pops up. Are you ready to publish? Double check by your settings before publishing. And the reason it gives you this second notification is once you publish this page, people who have your website address, they can find it. It may be that you're not ready and you are working on some stuff here in the back. You don't want people to find it yet, so you don't want to publish it. In that case, you will save it as a draft. In this tutorial, we're just going to stick to publish, makes it very easy. And that's why it asks you the second time to publish, and we say publish. And now you have created your first page. It's your home page. How does this look on the front end? Go here, click on View Page. And this is the front end. Very similar to what I had shown you at the beginning. You have the header here at the top. This area with this color is your page. There's nothing there currently. And then here is your footer. Now we have a third part here, which is often called, let me clear this area here. This is often called the page title. So you have this part at the top of your page with the name of the page in there. In this case, it's the home page. Let's put some content onto this page. From the front end, to go directly into the Gutenberg WordPress editor, you can simply go to the WordPress toolbar up here and click on Edit Page. That's going to take us back into the editor. Let's bring in some text. That's the easiest thing to do. And I'm going to be using text that you all can use as well. Often we use some random text, but I'm actually going to use real text. And I will use one of these books that are in the public domain, Alice in Wonderland. So I'll open a new tab here and I'll type in Alice in Wonderland text. And this will take me, and don't get confused now, it takes us to gutenberg.org. This has got nothing to do with WordPress. Gutenberg is the library that keeps all this old stuff for us, for future generations and beyond. If I click here, it will give us all the text of the original Alice in Wonderland, and it even gives you the images, and you can use this. It's in the public domain because it's been around for so long. Let's copy this first paragraph here, right click and copy, and then we go back into the WordPress editor. Here it says start writing or type to choose a block. All we do is click in there to select it, and then you paste it. And to paste anything is Control V on a PC, Command V on a Mac. And there is our text. From here, copy over here, paste into the WordPress editor. Now I'm going to show you that front back thing I was talking about earlier. Let's update this page. You see from publish, it became update, and then page updated. And then next to it, you see here preview. Click on that, and then we select preview in new tab. This will now open a new tab and show us how this page will look on the front end to any visitor that comes to our site. Opens a new tab, and there we go. Great bananas. So you actually have your first piece of content here, and your page is starting to build up. What I'm going to do now is I will leave this open. You don't have to close it, because every time you go to the back and you make changes here, you can just save it here, and then you go back to the front and just refresh the page to see those changes. So I'll leave it open and go to the back end. And now let's look at what we can do with this text. We want to make some changes here, boring text, make it look better. And to do that, click on the text. Once I click on the text, two things happen. You see the options toolbar appears here at the top. And then here on the right, you see a sidebar come out, and it gives you more options under this tab called block. Click outside here again somewhere on the page, and you will see that the toolbar disappears and that the sidebar now switches to document. So between document settings, this will apply to your entire page. And when you click on the block, this area, it will give you the block settings. So two areas to make changes. This can be sometimes a little bit confusing because some of the settings are sometimes hidden here, and other times they are over here, and then other times they are in both places. Now, if I go here to the toolbar and I hover here all the way to the left, you see that blue bounding box around my text. This is what gives us the idea of a block. And in WordPress, every time you bring in content, it's going to have this little bounding box around it. It's called the block. And this is a paragraph block. It's a text block, and it indicates so with this little icon over here. Let's see what we can do here. So the first one we have here is your text alignment. Click, then we can put it to the center, and we can put it to the right. And if you want to go and test it every time to see how it looks on the front end, go to update, preview, new tab, and now you see it's flushed to the right. Let's go back. Let's put it again to the left. Then you have bold. For this, you have to select text within this block. So I will select here, Alice was beginning to get very tired. We can put that in bold. And then we have italics. Let's choose this entire sentence here. And then italics. And what I'm doing here is normal word editing, you know. Select something, drag it with your cursor, and then just make the changes. Over here, you have the option to add a link. So a link is very popular. When somebody sees something, they can click on it. It takes them to another page. So let's add a link here just for practice. I'll grab this Gutenberg, this link here, select it up here, Control-Command-C to copy it. Go back, and then let's select just this last one here. And now you click here on link. And with this over here, Control-Command-V, and click here on the enter, submit. And you will see that our link now has that color with a line that appears there as well. Let's see what else do we have here. A few more controls that we don't need. And then here, some controls for the block. Let's update this and preview it on the front end to see how those changes look. Preview a new tab. You can see the bold over here, our italics over here, and then here our link. If I click on it, it takes me to this Gutenberg page. Close out, and we're in the back end. Click on the block to interact with it, and let's delete the block. Just to show you, click on the three dots, go to the bottom, remove block, and we're back to where we started. Let's bring the text back. So I'll go back to my Alice. This is still selected. Click on copy, go here and click again and Control-Command-V. Our text is back. This time, let's have a look at what's happening here in the options sidebar. Now remember, if by chance it's on document with this one selected, just click here on block. And the first thing is it will tell you what kind of block it is. It's telling us it's a paragraph and start with the building block of all narrative. Somebody was very inventive who wrote this. Under this one, we get typography. And typography is a big word for fonts. So we have size control over here, and look at the text, how it changes as I cycle through these presets. We can go larger, and if you just go default, and you have also custom control, then you can just over here go through the sizes and put it to a size you want. And if you mess it up, you just click on reset, and it gives you then again the default setting for the paragraph block. Then we have color settings over here. And this applies to the whole block. So we have a text color and a background color. Let's change the background color first. And text color, put on that one. Let's change it another background color. Okay, that looks pretty nice. No, that's a little bit difficult to read. And you can even put a custom color. So if you know what kind of color you want to use, you click here on custom color, and then you can set it up over here. Finally, we have text settings, and I can activate that. It gives me a drop cap with a nice little A there for Alice. So in the options sidebar, these panels can be collapsed if you need a little bit more working space. And if you need to go back in there, you simply click on it to expand it. Let's update and preview it. Preview new tab. And there we go. In just a few clicks, you've learned how to bring in a paragraph block and bring in content to your page. Let's bring in some more text. And this time we're going to bring in paragraphs, many paragraphs. So I'll go to the back end. We go to the project Gutenberg, and I will select 4 paragraphs over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right click to copy them, and then go to the back end. To bring it in now, I need to bring in another block, another paragraph block in which I can paste it, but I don't see the same notification I saw earlier where I can input that data. To do that now, I have to bring in that block, and that's very common as well. You see up here, there's a little plus, add block, and this is where we will find all the different kinds of blocks. So far, we've only seen the paragraph or the text block, but you're going to see once I click on this, many blocks that you can play around with. Click on add block, and then you see blocks over here, and scroll down. There's quite a number that you can go through and that you're going to be using. We want to use the text one again, and that is paragraph over here. To bring it onto the page, you just click on it, and you will see now there is the cursor again with that little plus here. We have already copied these 4 paragraphs. So I'm going to paste it, Control-Command-V. And then you see I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. Let's update that and go have a look again on the front to see how my content is shaping out now. And we have our initial paragraph with all that styling and formatting applied, and then these 4 new ones. What's important to understand though, is that I created this block and then I brought in a second block. But within that block, I pasted 4 paragraphs. Or did I? Let's go to the back end and I'll show you why I say it so ominously. If I click on this paragraph over here, you see a toolbar appears and options here. And when I click on this one, the toolbar moves down. This is not one block. These are 4 blocks. For every paragraph that you paste, WordPress is going to create a new block for you. Keep that in mind, because when you make styling to this block over here, let's say I go over here, change to large, it's only going to affect this block. It will not affect the rest. Let's put it back on default. Now that we have a number of blocks here, let's have a look at moving these blocks around. So let's go to this 2-line block here, click on it, and notice here on the left we have these little dots, and when I hover over it, my cursor turns into a hand. Click and hold, and then you will see you can drag it, and wherever you see that blue line appears, that's where you can drop it and put it into a new position. So I'm going to take it to the top and drop it over there. You also have another way of moving it. So let's click on this one, and you will see that there's up and down arrows. Click on Move Down, and you see it moves down in the block order, and you can click up again to bring it back to that position. Click on Update, and let's just have a look then again on the front end. Preview a new tab. And then let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is this how you want your website to look? Naturally, no, because if this is how your website looks, and everyone who comes to WordPress uses this way, we're all going to have websites that look exactly the same. But when we go to the back end, you will see there isn't much to change here. And even in terms of your text, there aren't many functions there. You cannot even change the font. What's going on here? Where does this look come from? And this look comes from something we call the theme. I'm going to show you what the theme does and how it affects the look of your site. Let's leave this tab, the one on the front end, open, because this will be very important for you to understand how the theme is going to change the look and feel of your site. But then here in the back, after make sure you've updated it, click here on the W in the top left-hand corner, and this takes us back to the admin area. And here we go to Appearance and click on Themes. Now, in many cases, you will have the same themes pre-installed I have, but it may be that you have additional themes or fewer themes. That's very normal because, again, depending on the host you use, they may pre-install some themes or they may remove some themes for you. But essentially, we will all have this theme called 2020. This is the latest theme developed for WordPress. If I click on it, you will see this text and the black with the red and the background. And then you should realize, this theme looks exactly like what I'm seeing over here. So how this theme looks is going to dictate how your website is going to look. That is the power of the theme. Can I change it? Why, yes, of course. Go back here. Let's close this out. And you will see there are two other themes here I have currently. One is 2019, and 2017. Whereas 2018, they never made one in 2018. If I hover over 2019, you will see I have the option to activate it. If I click on this, it will activate this theme and it will deactivate 2020. Click on Activate. And it's activated now. We go to the front and refresh. And look at the amazing change it's going to make to how this page looks. Completely different. Now we have a blue color here, we have a different page header, and we have different kinds of fonts and different spacing, and the footer looks very different. Let's go back here. This time we go to 2017 and activate 2017. Go to the front, refresh, and even more different. We have this image at the top, our text to the right, and we don't even have a major big footer like we did in the previous two versions. Let's go to the back, go back to 2020 as it's the latest one, activate it, and then let's get rid of these two. We don't need them. We don't want them to fill up our space here. Click on it, and then you see here in the bottom right-hand corner, delete, and then say, okay, yes, goodbye. Same for this one, delete, and goodbye. And once you only have one theme left, two things are going to appear. It's going to fill your whole screen like this. And the second thing is you will see there is no delete option there in the bottom right-hand corner. WordPress must work with one theme. You can never get away from that. Often people ask, how can I disable the theme? You cannot. WordPress needs that minimum theme to work with. Remember that. So after you have deleted all the themes you possibly can, the last theme remaining will be that Mohican. You won't be able to get rid of it. Now, apart from giving you this styling, the theme also gives you other options. So you can make changes to how this page looks. And to do that, we say you customize your theme. You can actually see here, it says Customize. Clicking on this takes us into the Theme Customizer. Big word, Customizer. You'll get used to it because you have to go into the theme at some point to make some changes. On the sidebar, you're going to see all the options. You have colors, theme options, background image. And every theme has different options here. It changes significantly from one theme to another. As some themes are a little bit more progressed and a little bit more premium, you're going to have more features here. When you work often with a free theme, which is 2020, you have limited options. But if you go and get yourself a pro premium theme, you can get a lot of functionality. However, remember I told you in this tutorial I'm going to show you only free stuff, but I'm going to show you the best free theme on the market at this moment, hands down, in terms of functionality. Well, while we are here, let me show you one thing that we are going to change inside this customizer for the 2020 theme, and that is the site identity. Go up here to site identity, click on it, and you'll see 4 things. You'll see logo, site title, tagline, and site icon. Now, this has got everything to do with your site, not your page. The site title is what appears here in the tab when somebody comes and visits your site. Currently, it says WordPress. Now, when your site was set up, it may say something different, but you can come afterwards and change it here. So I'll go and change it, and we are going to call this the Absolute Beginners Edition. And you can give it a tagline, and you see it updates over there. You give it a tagline, let's just something different. Let's call this Learn WordPress. And the tagline often appears there with that. Let's publish this. And you will see after publishing it, it updates here. If I go to the front end here, let's refresh this. It's back to 2020. You will see here at the top, it says Absolute Beginners Edition. One thing though, currently we are logged into WordPress. So we will see the WordPress toolbar here at the top all the time. But maybe you want to see how this site will look 100% to a visitor. To do that, while you are logged in here, you can open an incognito window or a private window from your browser. If you are in Chrome or like this one, Microsoft Edge, go up here to the settings where the 3 dots are, click on it, and I'm going to click on this one that says New in Private Window. In Chrome, it's an incognito window. This will open a different browser. It's just a private browser. It just logs you out from WordPress and all of that stuff so you can really just look at it, how it will look on the internet as if you are not logged in. Let's go back just quickly to this one. I have to copy the URL of my site. So I click here. This is the URL, my address, Control C, Command C. Then I go here to the private one, paste that and enter. It loads the page now for me as if I'm a visitor to this site. We see it says Absolute Beginners Edition, Learn WordPress. That is the tagline. So those are the things that we've updated. Let's go back. Next thing we're going to do, go to our customizer area again, is look at the site icon. What is the site icon? Also called a Favicon. If you look here at the Project Gutenberg one that we had opened earlier, you will see that little image appears up there in the tab. That is your favicon or your site icon, and you should have one. I'm going to go here and you see it says site icons should be square and at least 512 by 512 pixels. Make sure you do that. Now to bring in my site icon, I have my folder here and I've created this one ahead of time. This is the favicon that I'll be using for my site. Click on select site icon. And this opens the media library for us. The media library is where all our pictures and other stuff that we'll be using are going to be stored. I'll bring back my folder, and to bring this in here, I simply click and drag. You see it turns blue, let go, and it loads it in. And now it is selected. The check is there. I click here in the bottom right-hand corner, select, and it brings in my site icon over here, and it updates there at the top. To make sure that this information is captured, you click here on Publish. If I go here to this page now and I update it, there is my site icon. Even if I go to this incognito private window and I update it, and there is my site icon. Looks really good. Right, I'll close this private one and just work again here in the backend. But we still have a problem. Let's click here back on site identity. If I go to something, it doesn't matter how hard I search through all of these options. I just don't find anywhere I can change the font. So I'm stuck with whatever font 2020 gave me, and I really don't want that. What can I do? What you can do, and what we are going to do, is we are going to choose our own theme, because there are many, many to choose from. Close the customizer by clicking here on the close button, and it takes us back into the back end, and we are still at appearance and themes. Click on add new, and from here we can select on many themes. Currently it says featured, 15 of them. If I click on popular, let's see how many, 3,952, and those are just the popular ones. Latest, let's see how many, 7,935. These things go into the tens of thousands. So how do you choose a good theme? You do research online, you try a few to see what you like, or you just do what I'm going to do. You're going to look for one. And the one that I'm looking for is called Blocksy. Blocksy is a very new theme, came out last year, but it's a super theme, it's free, and it has a lot of functionality, and it's going to work perfectly for what we want to do. To find Blocksy amidst the masses, we go here to search theme and we type in Blocksy, Blocksy. And now, from the WordPress repository, we will find Blocksy over here. To get Blocksy onto this WordPress installation, we click here on install, and this will install it for us into the themes area. You will see it's not active yet. It only says activate. If I go to the sidebar, click on themes, we will see our 2020 theme here, still active. Blocksy installed, but not active yet. Let's just have a look again at our 2020, because after this, we won't be going back to 2020, just like the year. Go to the backend, go to Blocksy and activate. Blocksy is going to be active then. Let's go to the front, refresh, and you will see a very big change. Now, this is where newcomers are often very disappointed. They look at it and they think, hey, this doesn't look as fancy as the 2020 at all. That is good, because it means it gives you a very basic template to work with, and from here we can style it out the way we want it to look. But before we continue, go back here and you will see that now there is this message that comes up here. Thanks for installing Blocksy, you rock. We strongly recommend you to activate the Blocksy Companion plugin. This way you will have access to custom extensions, demo templates, and a lot of other amazing features. Now, this plugin is going to make Blocksy even better than it already is, and we need it. We click here on Download Blocksy Companion, which will open a new page where the theme creators are, and it will tell you to download the Blocksy Companion. Click on Download now. Now, this is a plugin, which is an app, and what we need to do is we need to install it into our WordPress site. Go back to WordPress, plugins over here, plugins, apps, same thing, and click on that. Let's go back to the beginning. Remember, there were a number of apps here, and I had deactivated them, and then we deleted them. So now we want to bring in the Blocksy Companion plugin. Click on Add New, and then click on Upload Plugin. And here you choose the file that we want to bring in. I'm still in this window, so I'll simply click here at the bottom, click Hold, and drag it, drop it on Choose File, and then click on Install Now. And in no time, it's going to install the Blocksy Companion for us. Just like the theme, it's only going to install it, it's not going to activate it. To activate it, you have to click here on Activate Plugin. What I want you to know before I do that is that currently here at the top, you see Dashboard, Posts, Media. After I click on Activate Plugin, you're going to see there's going to be a new label for Blocksy. Activate Plugin. And up here, now we see the label for Blocksy as well. Hey, never miss an important update. Opt into our security and feature updates, notifications, and a lot of other blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can do that if you want to. Again, we're just going to click here on skip. And this then takes us into the Blocksy dashboard. So you will see here it says Blocksy at the top. And if you scroll down, some stuff here and some stuff over there. And guess what? We don't care too much about this at this moment. Let's just see again the front end, right? Let's close out this. And this is our front end. You can refresh it. Nothing's going to change. We didn't make any changes. This is how Blocksy looks. And we go back to the backend. Remember in 2020, we had access to Customizer for the 2020 theme. And you can do so the same for Blocksy. To find the Customizer, you go to Appearance, and then you will see Customize here under Themes. Now when I click on it, it's going to load the Customizer for Blocksy. And you will notice that here on the sidebar, it looks very different to how 2020 looked. Number one, it looks different. Number two, you see a lot of more new features. And this will give you much more control over how you can style and set up your site. Currently, up here in the header area, you see that we have over here our site's title, Absolute Beginners Edition. Usually, you put something like a logo in here. Not necessarily, but most of the time, people try to put a logo in here for their shop. Let's do the same. To do that, as I hover up here in the top, you will see that blue bounding box and it says main row. This main row is the main row of the header. So hold on tight. Things are going to get a little bit rocky at this moment. Click on main row. And once you click on it, you will see here at the bottom, you have these rows, 3 of them. And you'll see it says top row, main row, and bottom row. And you will see it says here, hide builder. This is a builder, and this is the header builder. With this builder, we create the content that will display here in this header. The first one that you can see up here is this logo area. And you see that little blue thing with the 3 dots? If you click on it, it's going to select this component with all its functions. So click on that, and you see changes happening over here. You will also notice that here in the middle row, the main row, this element called logo is highlighted. So it tells us that we are working with this, that is the logo element, placed in the main row on the left. And the settings for that are now open here in the left sidebar. Here you can see again the site title, and that's what we've got here, Absolute Beginners Edition. We want to bring in a logo. So we go to logo, select logo, and it opens the media library again. Hey, you see here, the site icon we used previously is now in our media library. To bring in the logo, I'll go to my folder again and I have a logo over here. I click and drag it like before until you see that blue area and drop it. Wait for it to load and then select. And it's going to bring in the logo for me up there. Now I don't need this site title. So I'll go ahead and click here to deactivate the site title, and I only have the logo there. Actually, there's more to the logo at this moment, but you'll see that later on in this tutorial. Right, so there we have that. Because I'm working with a one-page website, I don't need this link up here. I don't need this menu. What I'll do is go here to the main row area, and you see there is the menu item. To remove it, click here on the close, and once you click on it, you will see it's also removed from the header here at the top. The same for this search function. We're not going to use it, so we're going to delete it. Click here on the close, and we've removed that as well. Now we've put up the site logo. To make sure you keep that, click here on Publish, and you can go to the front end, refresh, and you will see there's the logo, and those components and elements have been removed. All right, let's go back to the back end. We click here to close the customizer. And now we've brought in a site icon, we've brought in a site logo, and I've mentioned to you that goes into the media library. To find those images and the place where they are stored and where you can bring in additional images, go over here to Media in the sidebar on the left. You just click on it, it takes you into the library, and you will see those 2 images that we've used appear over here. You can preload all your images. If I bring my folder back, you will see I've got all the images that I'm going to be working with. I can click them now and just drag them in here and they are ready to use. Or, like I'm going to be doing in this tutorial, you can bring them in as you build it out. But if your images are ready, go ahead, drag them in there, and you have them ready to use. Go ahead and close this back end of WordPress. And let's also close here Alice. And we are back in our WordPress, but the front end. You should notice also here in the WordPress toolbar now that we have this change in the name. When we had updated the site title, it now says Absolute Beginners Edition. To go back into the editor, click here on Edit Page, and it takes us into the WordPress, or also known as the Gutenberg editor. Just close this bar here at the bottom. Right, let's see what we've got here. We have a few things that are important. So we are back in the editor. Let me open the preview again. Preview, new tab. And what do we want to do here? I want to remove this page title. I don't need it. I don't like it there and I don't want it there. So we go here and we find the options for Blocksy. To find the Blocksy options, you go here and you'll see there is the Blocksy logo, Blocksy page settings. Click on that and it gives us a lot of things that we can play with. The page title is this one, Home. Click on page title and then click on Disabled and then update it. We preview it and now you will see that the home title has been removed. Let's go back here to the backend. Now we brought in this text earlier, but I don't really want to work with this text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on them and I'm going to remove them. And then we're going to build out something useful, something that can really make our site pop. And that is a hero block. Yeah, hero like H-E-R-O. And a hero block is usually that big image that you get at the top of a page with some text inside it. It really draws the attention of your visitor and it gives them a good idea of what your site is all about. The hero image that goes into the hero block has to be impactful. It has to make a statement and it has to deliver the message of what your website is all about. To do that, you can click here on this plus to bring in a block, or you go up here to add block. And we're going to go to media because media usually things regarding images or videos. And the block that we will be using is called this one, the cover block. Let's click on that and it brings in a very not spectacular looking block. So we have to make our changes here. The first thing I want to do is bring in the image. Bring up my folder. And in this case, here is my hero image. I simply click and drag it. And you will see it turns blue there. That's how simple it is. Now I can just drop it in that block and it's going to load that image for me into my media library and place it here within our WordPress editor for this block. Very nicely done. And the second thing you see here is that there is a flashing cursor and that allows me to type, you see here, a paragraph. So I am going to give the name of this photographer and this is Diana Angelov Studios. And then let's update this and go preview it on the front end and see how does this display. Okay, right. But let's make a few changes here. First of all, look at this space here at the top, me no like. The next thing I want to do is I want this to go all the way from the left to the right. I want it at full width. How do we do that? Let's get rid of this space at the top first. And that is a setting that you have to do for the Blocksy page setting. Go again here to Blocksy and then scroll down to Content Area Vertical Spacing. Click on Custom and then you just select this one, Disabled, and then Update. You can go and view it on the front, refresh, and you will see that space has now been removed. Why is that important? Because we only want that header there. We don't want any space between them. And in fact, we're going to even make this header transparent very soon. Now, how do we make it full width? Go to WordPress, click on the block, and then here is the name of the block. In this case, it's called a cover. And next to it, you get the alignment. We're going to select this one called full width, and you will see it stretch all the way from the left to the right. Let's click again on update and see if it looks the way we want it to look. Refresh. And if it doesn't refresh like this, you just go back here, click on preview, regenerate the preview, a new tab, and it will give it, looks good. Does it look good? Where are her eyes? This is definitely not how we want it to look. It looks a little bit weird. We have her face looking like Katy Perry and just the chin. We at least we want her eyes in the picture. Go back to WordPress, make sure that you click on the block, and then let's see what settings we can change for this. If I scroll here to the top, you don't see the settings for the block because we are currently working with the Blocksy settings. To go back to the block settings, click here on settings, and then you will see again document and block, and here's the block. So, let's see what we've got here. The first one is the focal point picker. Grab this little circle, and then you drag it to the area that will always be displayed. Doesn't matter if it's on a cell phone or on a tablet or whatever device. How big is the screen? This part of the image will always be displayed. So I'll put it just slightly above her eyes, right? So now you can see we've fixed that problem. Scroll down a little bit more. Then we have here minimum height of cover. Minimum height of cover helps me to set how big this image should be. You can type it in there, or you see there's a little blue dot here. Click that and drag it. And you will also see the pixels, the size increase over there. I'm going to drag it to, let's say around here. Let's drag it to 800. I'm going to drag it to 800. That's what I'm going to do. There we go. Right, great. Let's update and see how this now currently looks. Things are starting to look really spiffy here. Generating preview. Now it's starting to feel like a real website, right? Okay, let's go back. And let's change the overlay. Now the overlay is a color that is applied on top of this image. Currently, you will see it is set to 50%. If I take it and I drag it all the way to the right, you see there's an overlay that's actually black that is applied. You can change the color over here. And then to reduce it, the opacity, to set the transparency, you just drag it down. Let's go for a cool effect. So instead of a solid, we choose here gradient, and there are a few presets over here. You can go through them. I'm going to go for this one. Gives us a number of colors. And then let's increase the overlay to 60%. You can set the angle over here. This really looks very, very cool. Okay, and that's everything we can do here in the options sidebar with this block. And again, if you want to know the name of the block, you just check here and it says it's a cover block, and that's the image for the cover block. Let's change the text here. And if I click on it again, you will see not much we can do. It's the same old that we've seen previously. What we can do is we can convert this paragraph block to a heading block. And a heading block is going to give us more functionality. To do that, while selected, go here and click on the paragraph symbol. And it's going to give you options to which you can convert this to. So currently it's a paragraph. I can convert it to a heading, and that's exactly what I want to do. I click on a heading, and now a number of things have changed. The first thing is that you will see it is now again here to the left. So let's just put it back to the center. The next thing is you will see this here, H2. What is this? In a website, headings have names, and the names kind of give them importance. H1 is always the name of your page. H2 is the name of your sections, and H3 are those subheadings. We usually don't use H1. The H1 is already given to the name of this page, which is home. That's already assigned to this one. and you shouldn't really use the H1. When Google looks at your page to index it so that when people search for photography and they want to find this page, it looks at these H headings. And the page has to associate with the H1. So you don't have to set that. But if you have additional names here and additional important ones, you put them on H2. Don't put everything on H2 because Google also doesn't like that. When it notices that you've put everything on H2, it's not going to be very happy. But this one is an H2 heading, and we're very happy with that. We leave it there. So what else can we do? Again, we have preset size here. Let's make it big. Let's put it on large. Let's put it on huge, which is 48 pixels. And then we have color settings over here. I'm happy with the white. You can change the background, but I don't want to change that. So not much we can do here. Let's update it. Go preview it again on the front. Preview a new tab. And there we go. I'm still bothered here by what I'm seeing because I don't like this font, but I don't see where I can change the font here. The font you are going to change in the Theme Customizer. Go back to the front end, and you will see here in the WordPress toolbar that the option to go into the Theme Customizer is also up here. Click on that, and this will keep this page open for us, and it takes us back into the Blocksy Theme Customizer. I want to change the font, and for that we look for the word typography. You're in the sidebar, you see typography, click on that, and it gives us many options over here. We are going to work with the base font. That is the font of all fonts. If you set the base font, all the other fonts are based on that font. So this is your foundation font, the one that you're going to use predominantly through your site. And there are so many you can choose from. They all come from Google and they are great. Click here on System Default, and it's going to open up this area from where you can select fonts. So you can scroll through these guys and you can have a look at all the fonts here. Like, what is this? Aquafina script. And you see, ooh, not bad. And let's look at this one. But what you have to remember here, your base font is your reading font, the font that people actually read. It is not a good idea to use these weird looking fonts for your base font. You have to choose a font that is easy to read. So I'm going to type in there Cardo, C-A-R-D-O, which is a font I know, simply dummy text, and click on that. And that gives me this look. But that is my reading font. But for this heading, I want to have something a little bit more spectacular and flashy. Now remember, we set this to heading 2. So if we want to change this style, we have to change the heading 2 style. So I'll click here on Default Family for heading 2. And let's find something really, what is this? Acronym. Ooh, I wonder if acronym can work. I think so. So we choose acronym. Good. And let's publish it. Now when I close the Theme Customizer, it will take me back to the front page because that's where we started off. This is a little bit too small, but we can change this going to the back end. And you will see the traditional and the old fonts are still here. So we need to change this. All we need to do then is refresh this page. Click here on refresh and it will bring in all those new changes that we've made. Click here on this text, heading 2, and then over here, the custom size we can change here. It's already on huge. I want it much larger. So I'm going to type in there 120. Oh, that's much better. Update. Let's go and preview it. And that looks spiffy. Now this is called a hero block, a hero section, and it has a hero image. Remember what I told you, when people come to your site, they should be able to immediately understand what your site is about. Now this one may be a little bit misleading because you see a person here, a lot of hair and colored hair, and then you see studio. So you may actually think that this is a hairdresser. But to fix that, we have the logo here, which is clearly a camera. So combined with all of this, people should know this is about photography. Let's do something cool and let's make our header here at the top transparent, which means that this image will move behind the header and that this will overlay the image. that is connected again to your theme. It's not only this page, it's your entire site. That means we have to go again into the Customizer. Click on Customize. And then from Customize, we are going to look for the header over here. And then we go here, Headers. And then Global Header, which is this one because it's global for all my pages. And we activate this one, Transparent Functionality. And you see it moves down. And suddenly you see Diana A Studios. When did that happen? Now that's always been there, but if I deactivate it, you will see that the top background is white, and that's why you didn't see it. So now we can see it, and that is a very good example of where you use light text on a dark or at least a very good contrasting background. And that's it. We don't need any more functionality here. So we publish it, and then we close it, back to the front. And there's our page. Looking good, looking good. So there is our logo now. Here is our header block, and we have our name there. People have a very good idea of what's going on here. Let's bring in some services to advertise our services for our site. To the back end we go. Scroll down, and here we have the plus to bring in another block. Click on it, and you will see some options here, and you can click on Browse All. But if you know what you are looking for, you can simply type it over here. I am looking for the columns block, and to show you the columns block, I have to go again to this one here, click on Add Block, and then as I scroll down, you will see Design, and the columns block will give you the option to take control over the layout. So I can click here on columns, and then it's going to give me the columns, but it's inside this hero. I don't want it there. So what I'll do is I'll click drag here, and I'll bring it when I see the blue line under my hero image, and I drop it, and now it's where I want it to be. I want 3 columns, so it's 33, 33, 33, and I select that, and it brings me into these 3 columns. Now inside this column, I'm going to bring in a block. Click on Add Block, and if you see what you want to use, you just simply click on it, and if you don't, you have to search for it. I want to use the same one that we used up here, which is the cover. So I'll just click here on cover, and it brings in again the settings for it. And I'll bring in my image first, bring in my Explorer, click and drag it, and I drop it. And it loads the image, and I will call this one Headshots, because headshots, that's what we do. Let's do the same for this one. Click on Add Block, select cover again. And then we bring our second image in here. And this one we're going to call Fantasy. Fantasy. And then let's do it for the third one as well. Click on it, cover. And we bring in our third one. And type in there Bridal. Now remember all the settings for the cover block you have again here. So if you want to change the overlay, you go down here and you change the overlay. Let's do that. But I'm going to make the overlay the same for all of them. So I click on the first one, go to Gradient, select this one. Second one, Gradient, same one. And third one, Gradient. And now we have that consistency in how these images look. Update, let's preview it. And we have our Euro block, and then we have our services. So the moment you now scroll down, you're going to understand what I can do for you, or at least what Diana can do for you. She can do headshots, she can do fantasy shots, and she can do bridal. I just feel that this space between the block at the top and this columns block way too close to each other. You see this little white space here? We always want a little bit of more separation when we are building out these different sections on our page. To do that, go to the back end, and what I need to do here is bring in a block that we call spacer. And the purpose of the spacer is to bring in space. I will hover here until I see that add plus, add block, click on that, and you don't see the spacer here. But remember, I know the name of this block. It's called a spacer. So I'm going to type in there space, and there we see spacer, click on it, and it brings in the spacer block. With a handle, I can drag to increase or decrease the space, or I can set the height in pixels over here in the options sidebar. Sometimes you want to have a specific number. Other times you're happy just to set it by eye. That's what I'm going to do here. Just drag it down a little bit. So you see it's what, 63. And if that 63 bothers you, you want it at 60 exactly, you just go here and you bring it down to 60. And then you can update it. And you see, when we go to the front now, we refresh, we're going to have a little bit more space here. That looks so much better. Great job there. Give ourselves a pat on the back. Now we have our services nicely set up. Something about our business, and for this I'm going to use 2 columns. So I go here to the bottom, click on add block, I look for columns again. If you see it, then you just click on it and we've got columns. And let's use 2 columns. What shall we go for here? A 50-50 or a 30-70? 50-50 we say. And then in here I'll bring in a heading. So I'll click on it, look for a heading. Heading over here. And I will put it on H2. Okay, let's first type in something here. Make an impression that'll last. Now what do you see here? Because we set our H2 to this font, because it's H2, it brings in the same font for this one. So what we can do is we will leave it like that. And then over here, we bring in some text about our company. So I closed our Alice out. Let me find that text again for us, Alice in Wonderland text. Let's just bring in that random text from Alice, something about our company. The rabbit hole went straight. Okay, copy that, go back and paste it here. So I click here, add block, and I look for paragraph because it's just normal text. Control Command V, and there we have that. Let's add some space between this. Remember the spacer. But what you can do now is you just go to the spacer here, click on it, and then click here on duplicate. And now you have 2 spacers. And then this one, you simply move it down. We have our space there. So when I update it now, we go to the front. We will have something about our business over here. And there's the space. Make an impression that'll last. Next, I'll bring in another image. So I'll bring in cover again. Let's add a block here. Cover. Let's put in the image first. And I'll drag this one. And I'm going to show you how to create what we call a parallax effect. And we put in a title here for it as well. We call this one Professionalism Extraordinaire. Extraordinaire, I think it's right. Professionalism Extraordinaire. And I want to create what we call, it's called like a parallax effect, but it's just actually a fixed background. So with the cover selected, if you go here to the sidebar, you will see it says there fixed background. And once I click on that, the image changes a little bit. And now as I scroll, look at how the effect of the image in the background. It stays fixed, and as I scroll over it, it reveals the image. Nice little effect. Let's make this bigger. Much bigger. And we also want to make it full width. So go to the options toolbar here and click on full width. Do we want to put an overlay on it for consistency? You see we've got this flashy site. Let's see how it will look. So we go here to gradient in the sidebar, apply. Okay, I think not bad. Let's make it a little bit darker, the opacity. Right, and then let's go see how this looks on the front. We're making a very neon shiny site here. Let's start from the top to experience it all. Diana Angeloff Studios, and go down. Okay, she does headshots, fantasy and bridal, and then make an impression that'll last. And then we have this here. Again, look at the space over here compared to the space over here. It looks a little bit unbalanced. So again, we need to add space here at this area so that it's just looking better for what we've got going over here. Go back and we just grab the spacer that we have over here and we duplicate it again and we drag it down 1, reduce it a little bit, and we've added that space. Perfecto. Next, let's bring in a image gallery. For that, click here and let's see if we can see gallery. Let's see if we type here gallery, what happens. Gallery, yeah, and there is a gallery. Click on the gallery element. And now from our folder, I'm going to select in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 images. Click and drag it and drop it. And it's going to load the gallery for us. Right, all the images. And because there's already text behind this, it also brings in that text for us. Okay, so let's just see with this, how does it look on the front? So we say update and preview. Scroll down, there are the images, but of course, I don't want that text there. So how do we get rid of that? Let's see. If we go here to the settings, no way we can get rid of it. I click here. So I can select all the text like this and simply delete it. And I'll do that for each of the images. I just want to display this gallery. I don't want to have all of this description there. Just for people to see the kind of photos that Diana takes. You can see there is a mixture of the three. We've got headshots, we've got bridal and fantasy. Yeah, some fantasy shots here. Okay, so let's update that again and make sure that it looks pretty and nice for the visitor. And if it doesn't update, we just go to preview, a new tab. Should be updated, right? And again, remember here, seems like we need some space. Let's add that space there. Go to our spacer, click on it, and then duplicate, and then move it down. Now we have that space. Great. Update. At this point, I want to point out one shortcoming of WordPress out of the box. And that is that the blocks that we get and that we've been working with at this moment can be a little bit limiting in terms of typography, in terms of styling, and even in terms of functionality. Though we have to admit that what we've done thus far, not bad, right? We have this great looking hero block at the top, 3 good looking info boxes. Then we have a little bit of text there with a heading, nice fixed parallax effect. And then we've got a good gallery, and we've applied spacing in between to make sure that everything looks good. What more can we want? In fact, there's so much more that we can want. But if we go here and we go through all of these, you'd be surprised to find that there are some things in here that you would think should be there, but aren't there. Remember, WordPress, after all, is free. You cannot get everything you want. Or can you? The answer to that, my friend, is quite possibly yes. Because what many developers do, third-party developers who don't work for WordPress, that's why we call them third-party, is they go and make additional plugins that you can bring into WordPress, and that gives you more blocks. And there are quite a number of them. So we have these blocks at the moment. Can we bring in more blocks? And let me go and show you how we're going to do that. Let's make sure everything is saved. So we click here on update and then go to the W here to the backend. And to find those plugins, we have to go dig into the WordPress repository. Go to plugins here and just click on it. And so far we have installed one plugin. That was the Blocksy Companion. Now we are going to look for those additional add-ons to give us more blocks. So we click here on add new, and this opens the WordPress repository for us. Number of plugins here. Again, if you start searching through this, let's go for popular. Oh, it doesn't tell us how many. Here, 52,000. How can you find anything useful among 52,000? And that's why you do some research and you watch videos like this so we can tell you what you want to look for. Because of the WordPress editor's original name when it became WordPress 5, which is Gutenberg, if you are looking for add-ons, your best guess is to look for Gutenberg add-ons. So let me just show you that. Type in your Gutenberg add-ons and let the searching begin. And you will immediately see you're going to have a number of plugins that pops up and tells you, hey, we can do what you want us to do. So we have here Gutenberg blocks, ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg. 200,000 plus people are using this. Then you have here Redux, 1 million plus. And there are quite a number out there that we can use for this. I really like this one, Gutenberg Blocks by Brainstorm Force. Now, what is amazing, right, is that this is free. This is really, it's absolutely free. You can use it and it brings extra functionality to it. And you can go through the others here as well. I'll show you another few of my favorites. One is called Cubely, really awesome plugin that you can use to extend the functionality. Here you see Gutenberg Blocks. Now, Cubely is a very strange one for me. I think it's one of the best add-ons for the WordPress editor. Only 10,000 active installations. Go check them out, play around with it, because there are super functions and they also have a pro feature. Another one I recently found is called Gutenberg. Gutenberg has 30,000 plus active installation, loads of functionality there as well. Very nice one to use. And then I know the one that I often use as well from Theme Isle that I use with their Need theme is called Otter, Gutenberg Blocks and Template Library by Otter, 70,000 active installations, and you can check that out from Theme Isle. Let's go back to the one that we saw at the very beginning. I'll just search again for it. Gutenberg add-ons, which is the ultimate add-ons. There, Gutenberg Blocks, ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg. And the first thing we need to do is to install it. This will install the plugin onto our WordPress installation, but it isn't active yet. For us to use it, we have to click on Activate. And once it has been activated, you can see in our plugins folder, we go to plugins again here, click on plugins, and you will see now we have 2 plugins installed, the Blocksy Companion, as well as Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. To find the settings for the Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg, if you go to the sidebar and you go here to Settings, you will see here at the bottom it says UAG. And when you click on that, it takes you into the settings for this one. And you can go through it. You will see there are a number of things you can do here. But where do we find these blocks? Well, we find it back where we have to make our changes. Let's go to our pages, click on Pages, and this is the page that we've been working on the whole time, our home page. Here it is, and click on it to go back into the WordPress or Gutenberg editor. And as we enter the editor, you may be a little bit discouraged because you're not going to see anything fancy. You're not going to see massive changes. And as you go down like, wow, I installed that plugin now. What an anticlimax, nothing here. But they are there. And they are now to be found here in the Add Blocks. So if I click here on Add Block and I scroll down, at the bottom you're going to see Ultimate Add-on Blocks. And this is all the additional ones that you can work with. And there are quite a number. Very nice ones. Social Share, Content Timeline, very nice one. And many of them will look very similar to the blocks, the native blocks from the WordPress editor, but they will have more functionality. Things like how to change your font, more colors, more styling options. And that's why these add-ons are really cool. Give it a spin. What I want to do now is I want to promote our photographer Diana, a little bit about her. And I will use this one over here, the Team block, to do that. So I click on Team and it drops in here. And let's see what we can do with that. Right, so we know it is selected because if you click on it, you'll see up here a block and it says Team. This block allows you to display your team, add their picture, name, what they do, and links to their social profiles. Let's see what we can do here with the Options toolbar. Let's put it to the left. I like that better. And then we go to the sidebar. So the first thing is Team Member Image, select Image. What you will get used to, though, is that each set of plugins that you bring in, they will work a little bit different. Just like themes work different from one to the other, the plugins also. So maybe before we just drop the image over here, remember? But now you have to go here and select Image, and it opens up the media library for us, good friend. And I open up my Explorer, and I find Diana Angelov, and I drag her in there, and I drop her in there. Good, so Diana, select, and she comes in over there. Then Let's change all the content. Next, we change her name. Simply triple click, simply select it, and we type in there Diana Angelov. And then from here, we say professional photographer. And then over here, something about Diana. Let's put in a lot of text. So we go to Alice and we put in some text about Diana, her life, mission, and vision, and some of her achievements. Select that, and then Control-Command-V, paste that text. So, this is starting to look out. This is starting to build out pretty nicely. Let's see now what we can do. For that, we go here to the sidebar. So we have the image. Let's just focus on the image for now. And then we have position above to the left. The left looks okay, but it looks so small. So let's look for size here, thumbnail, and we make the thumb and we make it full. And then for that, we're going to increase the width. Okay, let's see if we can make it more than 500. No, so 500. But I think Diana looks okay there. Let's see if we put it again on above. I think it looks better, Peter. Let's drag it down a little bit. Okay, I like the bigger image there for Diana. But now I'm thinking if we're going to leave it at the top, we should just go and center align everything. That's what we'll do. So we go here to our options and put it in the center. This is starting to look really professional. Diana is going to pay me a lot of money for this. And she uses a Sony camera. So we've got some things in common. Okay, so let's focus on the image again. Right, you have selected it. Over here, you have your image. Your position is above. Image style. You can put it on a circle. If you want to do that. Or you can make it square. But we will keep it normal. And then the size, we put it on full. You can change the width here. We don't want it too big. Maybe try and make it the same as that one there. And that's it. So I'll collapse this panel so I can see what else I've got here. Social links. Now the social links are down here. We haven't done anything with the social links. So let's see what happens when we click on the social links. I don't see anything happening here. So we should go here. Social links. Enable social links. Yes. Then do we have Twitter for her? Yes, we've got Twitter for her, Facebook, but she doesn't have LinkedIn, True, and Pinterest. Yeah, she will have all of these. So what you do now is that when you go to the Twitter, you click here and then you enter the URL for her Twitter in there. Same thing for Facebook. So that when people click on it, it will take them to those pages. And what you want to do is say open links in a new window. So that when people click here, it keeps this page open, but it will also open a new window for them. Let's go find some Facebook page. I'll just type in here facebook.com. And we can just choose facebook.com. Let's close this, facebook.com. We go to Facebook, and then at the URL, select that, Control-V, Command-V. Let's update this and then preview it on the front, and then test that. Scroll down. Ooh, Diana. Great, great, great. And then here we find Diana. I see something we need to do there as well. Put in space. Okay, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. I like the text, looks good. And then when we click here on Facebook, it's going to open there, and we didn't say open a new window. Why? Let me go back here. Open links in new window. Remember to activate it. I just gave you a speech on that. Update. Let's preview it again. Make sure it works. Close Facebook here. Generating. Go down. And click here on Facebook. There we go. It opens a new tab, and it keeps the front also open for us. Let's go back here. So that's what you're going to be doing with the social links. Typography. Now here is where it really gets nice. And that is that previously we had to make all those typography changes in the customizer of the theme. We had to exit here. We had to go to the Blocksy Customizer. But now with this add-on, they allow us to make the typography changes right here if I wanted to do it. So what we see here is we see title, which is Diana Angelov. Then we have, what is that? Prefix, I guess that's professional photographer, and then description. So what we can do for, let's go to the prefix to show you how it works, is you click here on the spanner, or like my American friends always tell me, a range. Okay, you click on the range or you click on the spanner, and then you have this control here. So you can see I can change the size of professional photographer. It was what, at 13? That was pretty good. You can reset it. Let's just click on reset. You can change the font and the line height. So very nice. And then that's everything for this. Font size for the social icons. Let's see if we, yeah, I want to increase that a little bit. That looks much better. All right. Close typography, go to color settings, and here you can make changes to the colors of these if you wanted to. So because our site is so flashy, I would say let's bring in a purple for Diana's name here. So title color, custom color, and I'm going to just drag this randomly until I find, ooh, there's a purple, and make it a little bit darker, just to show you how the color settings work. And let's close that. What else do we have here? Spacing. Spacing is important. Remember, I'm a very big fan of spacing. So this intersocial icon description bottom spacing, let's drag this one. Yep, I want that spacing between the bottom and the social icons, so I drag that in there. And what else? Let's say we want a little bit more space between professional photographer. Yep, there we go, this one. Good. And for that, we are happy. Spacing and advanced. No, we don't want to do anything with advanced. And finally, remember, I want to bring in a spacer. This time I'll just bring it in, click here, and look for my spacer and drag it down a little bit. And there's Diana Angelov. Update and see if it looks good. Essentially, what many of these add-ons do is they take different parts of a block. They take a title, they take an image, and they combine it into one block, and they just add that additional functionality like we just saw with the typography. It just makes it so much easier to design your page within WordPress when you have that. So scroll down to the bottom, and that looks good. I really like what we've done there. This looks like a real professional website at this moment. At a minimum, if you have a small studio, this would be a very good impression. Of course, the color here is maybe a little bit too neon 80s, so it may not convey the feeling. If you're a serious photographer, you have to bring in a little bit more subdued and muted colors. This one is really modern and flashy, but it can also, like high fashion, kind of give you that impression that this person really works in a high fashion industry with lots of bright colors. Let's now do testimonials. And again, testimonials you can build out by yourself. What do you need for a testimonial? You need an image of the person giving you the testimonial. You need to have their name, and you need to have the ability to show what they are saying, the quote about the services you've delivered for them. And again, you can build that all out with the blocks here. Remember, we can bring in a block like an image and then a paragraph and a heading, and we build out our testimonial. On the other hand, if you go to the ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg here, you will find that there is actually a testimonial, or what do we call it? A testimonial over there, testimonial block, which brings all of these together for you in a preset. When I click on testimonial, it drops it on top of Diana's head, which is where we don't want it. So first, let's move it to the bottom. And as I'm moving it down, you should start to get a little bit excited because you realize, aha, this is more than just testimonial. We have this slider that happens here. Funky, right? Important to remember that because we've put all of this center alignment, you should also keep your testimonials center alignment. So though you can put it to the left like this and to the right, no, you want to put it in the middle. And because we have the same typography and same styling, it matches very nicely with the one that we have at the top. Let's see what we can do with this testimonial, because I think I'm already starting to feel dizzy from all the spinning. Number of testimonials, we are here in the options sidebar, are 3 and columns 1. What does this mean? So if I drag the column to 2, you're going to see 2 testimonials are going to appear at the same time, and then they will cycle through like this. So you can increase the testimonials. I think we're going to keep ours to 3. Then we go to carousel. And here you are going to deactivate autoplay. Why, my lord? Because you need to change these things. And if they keep switching like that, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to change them. Let's go back. Let's select here 1, the circle here at the bottom. And here is where you're going to be making these changes. So you put in some text there, you change the name. I hear the dogs barking, Leslie barking. Okay. And let's say she's a full-time model. And then here, we'll have a different quote, but we'll leave that. We're going to call her Melissa Stone. And corporate lawyer. Why with the corporate lawyer? Because remember, headshots, corporate lawyer, not a shot to the head. And then we have here Jean Delois and Delois. And what would she be? Let's call her also a model. And these are their testimonials that is going to be there for them. It's a pity, though, that we don't have images for these testimonials. Or do we? Let's go back. Close carousel for now. Then let's go to image. Aha, so we do. And since we have created 3 testimonials, you will have images for 3. Select image 1. And let's find our first one. Professional model, right? Okay. And this is whom? Let's go back here. Click on it. Leslie barking. Okay. Melissa Stone is image 2, and she is it? Let me see. I'm not sure which is 2 now. If that is 1, then this is 2. And she's the corporate lawyer. So this is corporate. So Melissa, you're going there. Go sue someone. And then Jean Delois, you are image 3. Okay, and say select. It's looking good, yeah. Close that, and let's just have a look at how this looks on the front end. Massive important tip I want to give you here. Many times when you bring in these blocks, put in your content and go have a look on the front end. And if it looks okay, don't go wild on the colors and the styling and the changes and the settings, because most of these blocks are made to be basic out of the block and do their job well. It's when you or I start messing around with them, they start to look a little bit wonky. And that's what we don't want. We want them to look okay. Let's go to the bottom. And there they are. Okay. No, I don't like the 2. I prefer only 1 testimonial. And we need a heading there. We need something that says testimonial. So let's do that. First, make sure that our block is selected. So currently it's there. I click here. Block testimonial. Columns, we're going to put on 1. Okay, that's better. Let's look at our carousel now. Pause on hover. Yes, that means that when I hover over it, when it's on autoplay, it will pause, and we will put on the autoplay soon. We have arrow size. The arrow is over here. We have arrow border size. That's the border size, right? So we have dots, and we can leave all of that. I'll put on the autoplay later. Typography. I think we are happy with the colors and how the typography looks. You have all the settings over there. The colors I'm going to look, the spacing, let's see. Gap between, again, you have all of this, but I think the spacing looks pretty good here. And then let's close that. And what do we have? Background? No, I don't want to add a background. Only one I want to check again is the image. Okay, right. Image position, width. Let's increase the width here. This is the one I was looking for. I want to make this a little bit bigger. And then you have image position, top, bottom. Let's see top. Ooh, let's put it at top. Circle, thumbnail, all of this. Good. And then let's put carousel now on autoplay and hold on to our seats. What we want to do is we want to put a heading here at the top that says testimonial. Click here, and then I'm going to try and see until I see the plus. Click on that and heading. We type in their testimonials. I don't like this font actually. Should go and change it. Center align it. And then we want to increase the size. Huge, much bigger. The other one we put on 120. We put this one on 120 as well to be consistent. And then on top of that, I want to bring in a spacer. And let's see how that looks. We see a lot of space here. Will that space appear on the front? Preview a new tab. And if it does, why? Let's go to the bottom. And yeah, that space does appear there, but you know what? It looks good. It gives some breathing room for our testimonials. And as I hover over Melissa, you see she takes a pause. And the moment I take the cursor away, the autoplay should continue. No, it doesn't. Okay, let's see. Maybe because once you hover, you've hovered for life. So look at what we've done up to now. With the basic blocks that come with WordPress, we've done this hero banner at the top, our services, a little bit of information, a parallax background, images, and then we have a team member, which is actually our photographer. So it's more like a biography on Diana. And then below that, some testimonials with the people there. And this is where we will stop in terms of building out the content for our page. There are so many blocks, and if you want to learn more about these blocks, also check out some of the videos here at WordPress for Beginners. We cover many of these add-ons for Gutenberg like Cubely, Otter, and this ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg as well, show you how they work. Again, I want to actually go back to what I said at the very beginning. The problem is something like Cubely has had a massive update this year, 2 or 3 times. And as WordPress changes and the Gutenberg editor changes, these plugins also have to adapt and they change. So many of those videos, they're kind of historic already at this moment. The best way is to come in here, grab these blocks, drag them onto your page and see how they work. For example, here we have a content timeline. And if you just drag it in here, look at that. So you can maybe, if you want to have a little bit about Diana's business, you can start here and style it out, add that content timeline there. And if we scroll down, you have other things like a marketing button. Very cool if you want people to take notice of something like, subscribe now. You have a subscription for that. Let's delete this one and remove this block. Good. Let's see for our final, what we've got on the front end. Preview in new tab. And scroll down, 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 down. Okay. Good. We should put some contact details here at the bottom. I think that's one more thing we should add here. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at responsiveness. And this is one that catches a lot of newcomers off guard. Responsiveness is all about how your website will look on a tablet and on a cell phone. And you'd be surprised because you probably never thought of this before. And the first time you hear this, you think like, but it should be fine, right? I'm going to show you that it isn't fine and it looks very different. So I'll copy the URL of this site. And then I'm going to open a developer tool called Sizzy. You don't have to worry about this, but this will allow us to see our page on different formats. And I'm going to type in and paste that. Enter. And that brings us to our site. And something is going to happen that's going to be very confusing. It seems we can't find what you're looking for. Perhaps searching can help. But this here is our URL. This is our website address. What's going on here? And this is a very important step that I've kept until this part of the video. A step, though, that you should do actually at the very beginning when you set up your WordPress site. Let's go back to our builder and scroll while we're here in the front to the very top. If you go here to where the logo area is, you will see that you can click on it. By default, all themes allow you to do that. That will take you to the home page. Now, home page, one word, is the page that displays when a visitor types in your website address. If I click on this one, you expect this page to appear, but it's not going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And this is what confuses so many people. But what's going on here? Where is that page now? Did I just lose all my work? And you could start to begin to panic. Let's just close this one, the backend. We don't have to worry about that. You didn't lose your work. Let's go to the WordPress dashboard. Click here. And first go to Pages. There's your home page. Click on View. Don't worry, your page is still there. But when I click on the home section, or I just type in, I just say here, .cosmetic, blah, blah, and I type in my URL and I enter it, it gives me this. And the reason this is happening, we go to the backend, is because WordPress actually has no cooking clue that that page, or this page that we have created, is the page it should use for that home page. It doesn't know. I know it feels so not intuitive. It feels like something WordPress should know, but it doesn't. And you have to remember that sometimes you're going to create many pages. You're going to have a home page, services, about, contact us. And all of those pages mean absolutely nothing to WordPress. They are just data. You need to assign one of those pages to be your home page. Just because we call this page home doesn't mean it is the home page. WordPress it's not that smart. And to assign this page as your home page, you go to the sidebar, Settings, Reading. And here you will see it says your home page displays. And currently it's set to your latest posts. And if you remember correctly, at the very beginning, I deleted that post. So it means it displays nothing. And that's why you have this. There's nothing. So this is why it displays that. So to set it to display the home for the home page, we click here on a static page. And then next to home page, from the dropdown, here is our page home. Select that one, save changes. We go to the front end. And now when we click up here on the logo, it's going to reload this page. That means that if I go back here into Sissy and I reload this, it should load now the correct home page because that is the page that we have set. And here is what I told you. Where you think things should be fine, turns out no, they're not fine. Okay, and we're going to discuss this because this is super important. Down here, I have a typical HD display. And if I scroll through it, and let me focus on this one so you can see it. Focus. If I scroll through it, you're going to see the typical website experience. This is how we had built out this page. And Diana, in all her glory, looks very good, except I really don't like that font anymore. But if I go to a tablet, which in this case is iPad, I focus on that, you're going to see we have a line cut here. The next thing you're going to see is that these three images next to each other, they are sorted like this. As we scroll down, this looks fine, these images look fine, even this looks fine. And then we see a little bit of space issues down here. But it's truly when we come to our iPhone 11 that you're going to see things look really bad. You're going to see here that our text is cut like this. This looks fine, fine. This looks fine, even that looks fine. And then here we have some issues. And then here we have some issues. Text is way too big. And then here we have these issues. Okay, what is going on here? Why does this look different? First of all, it looks different because you cannot do and present what you do on a desktop display on a cell phone. This is landscape, this is portrait. This is a huge screen, this is a very narrow screen. So you have to design your website to be responsive. And that means that after you have done all this hard work in making sure that it looks good on a MacBook Air, you need to go and make some tweaks to make sure that it will look good on a tablet as well as a mobile device. For that, there is functionality within WordPress, but it's limited depending on what you are using. Let me explain to you what I mean on what you are using. Here we have, remember, this was the cover block. So we go to the cover block in our builder. So click here on Edit Page. And we go back here and click on the text for Diana Angelov Studios. And what you see is you just have setting for one size. So to make sure it can display on a mobile device, I have to bring it down, and I have to bring it down much less. So I'm going to just put it on huge this time, update it, and then we go here and we refresh this because we are testing it now. We want to see how it looks here. Now it fits in. Look, that fits in. But we lose all that splendor that we had here. So the question is there a way that I can make it look good and big on the desktop, but keep it small on a mobile device? And the answer is yes, but no, but yes, but no. For this block that comes with WordPress, the cover block, the answer is no. You have to set that. And because you set it for the minimum device, which in this case is your iPhone, you have to set it this small. There is nothing you can do about that. It's the same for the heading down here. Right? This heading is pretty big. If I click on it, there it is at 120. I'll have to set it lower. And I cannot change it from one device to the next. But when I go to many of these others that we've brought in, like the ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg, and I click on this one, Diana Angelov, and then I go to Typography, and that is the title, and I click here on the spanner, you are going to notice something amazing. Font size is currently 30. But then you'll see up here 3 little icons. You see a desktop, tablet, and mobile. And each of them is set to 30 pixels, the size of the font. But what this means is that I can change the size of the font for each of these displays respectively. That's great. That means I can set each one independently. So let's go back to Sissy and see what's here. So we go down and we see that our images here are stacked, and that's normal for mobile. But here we have a problem. Our images here aren't stacked. You have 2 and you have 1. That doesn't look good. Unfortunately, nothing you can do about that. There is no responsive styling for columns in the Gutenberg column block. But there is responsive styling for the columns block in Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. Let me show you. So what I'm going to do here is somewhere here at the top, I'll look for columns again. And then click on Advanced Columns. I'll choose 3, just like we did before. And then click here, and we look for cover again. And I'll just, from my media library, I'll set them up quickly again, so that we can have 3 here. Cover again, media library. This one. And then same for this one. This was a cover. And which one? Bridal. Let's just change it as well. Headshots. Headshots. Fantasy. Bridal. Great. Let's now go here where you see the blue line. Click on that. And you will see it activates Advanced Columns. And then it will say columns 3, stack on mobile. Now stack is on top of each other, but it gives us the option to stack already on tablet. So before we do that, let's save it. So we leave it on mobile and then we go and preview it again. So we refresh this page. So we've got 2 sets now, and look at the difference in how these 2 work. Now, because this one keeps them separate, you will have to go and change the size of the text. And then it gets stacked here. But what if we wanted to stack them already on the tablet? Then we go back here. We go to stack on tablet. And we say update. Go back. Refresh. And look what's going to happen to our tablet now. Now our images here are going to be stacked on the tablet. You cannot do that with the standard column that comes with the WordPress block. These are the limitations that you have to be aware of. And that's why so many of us use the add-ons instead, because they give us that power to make these changes. If I go back to that, and I know I'm digressing a little bit, and we say again, stack only on mobile, we're going to run into problems because we saw that the font here is too big. And that means that when it is not stacked on the tablet, you're going to have that font breaking. So let's just have a look here again. You have that font breaking, right? So unfortunately, here in this case, then you will have to go and change the font, because that element in here, which is the cover element from the WordPress Gutenberg blocks, isn't responsive. But if you are to use the Ultimate Add-ons Gutenberg, they are responsive. So for me, mostly, I hardly use the blocks from WordPress when I'm designing a site. I will use add-ons like Ultimate Add-ons, Cubely, Gutenberg, etc. There's a number of them out there, because the one thing that they make sure of is that responsiveness, so that you have the control, at least at a minimum, to set how it will look on a tablet and how it will display on a mobile device. Great. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to make changes here. I know I'm messing up this page a lot. We started out with something that looked okay, and then I brought this in. But it's important that you understand these limitations of the blocks in WordPress and then how you can fix it. At this juncture, I will quickly add Page Builder. One way to overcome this problem completely is to use page builders. And on Websites for Beginners, you'll find we talk about page builders a lot. A page builder basically substitutes the entire WordPress editor for a different kind of editor. And that is designed by third parties. And in many cases, it works really, really good. So why do you need to learn about WordPress blocks? It's good to understand how they work, because when you work with other functionalities like posts for your blogging or e-commerce like a plugin WooCommerce, you often need to use these blocks. And understanding how the blocks operate at a minimum level will help you get very far when you are building out those features. Let's go back to the back end and see everything that we've done today. What we've done is that we've installed a theme that we feel is better than the 2020 theme, and that was the Blocksy theme. Within the Blocksy theme, we customized a few things. We had set up a site title so that when people come to our site, they can see the site title and they can also see our favicon. The other thing that we've done is that we've changed the fonts in here so that when we create them within the WordPress editor, the fonts are already applied. We also put on a transparent header. Awesome. And I want to tell you awesome because most free themes don't allow you to do transparent headers. Blocksy is one of the very, very few. Apart from that, working in the theme, we've learned how to make pages. And pages are very important because that's where the content goes. We've created the home page and we had to go to settings, reading, and make sure that our home page, where people will come to, will display that page we had created. We had also changed a few other things under settings. We go to general. Here we changed the site language as well as the time zone. While we were building out our page, we had brought in many images, and those are stored within our media library. We dragged them in here, or we dragged them in while we were working with them, or we loaded them, and we can find them here. If we are going to be working with more images in the future, we just throw them down here. But most importantly is that we learned about the WordPress editor. From pages, you create that page and then you simply go into the page to edit it. Here there's a lot to take in. We have the page where all the work is actually done. To bring in content, you need the block, and blocks are added from here. And we realized that the blocks from WordPress do a good job, but they're a little bit limited here and there. There are many blocks and they can really help you build out a good looking site. But if you want to make sure that things will look really good on tablets and mobiles, you need to bring in extra functionality. And many of the third-party add-ons for the Gutenberg WordPress editor, they do a very good job at ensuring that it will also look good on your mobile devices as well as tablets through responsive styling. Every block, as you click on it, has an options toolbar at the top, and then it has options on the right that allows you to do styling and other kinds of functionality. Whenever you make changes here to your page, you will click on Update, and to see how it will display to a visitor, you go to Preview in a new tab. Now, previously, I had opened this developer to show you how it will display on different devices like an iPad and an iPhone. But you can actually do it from within your browser. And to do that, you hit F12. You know, there at the top of your keyboard, those F keys, press F12. And when you do F12, it opens up what we call the inspector. It's very scary looking text, but you really don't care about any of that text. The part that you want to focus on is this little icon up here. And from different browsers, it will look slightly different, but you will get the idea that there is usually like a desktop and a tablet and a mobile little icon there. If you click on it, it's going to open that responsive viewing for you. From here in the toolbar, you have presets. So you can start with the iPad, and that's what we saw, what I had been looking at here. So from here, as I scroll down, you see exactly the same display. And this is an exact 768 by 1024 pixels setting for your iPad. So you can scroll down and test how it will look. And if you see anything that doesn't look good, you go back and you make those changes. And then you can also put it in landscape mode. Now, landscape mode, it should look okay because landscape mode essentially is a desktop view. Then you can also put it, let's put it back on portrait. Look at others, like you have Galaxy, Pixel, iPhone X. iPhone X and your Galaxies are usually good ideas because their size from left to right, the width, is much narrower than many other cell phone devices. And by looking at it at the Galaxy and on an iPhone, you really understand the limitations or where you need to go and make changes in your WordPress editor to make sure that it will look good. And here again, you will see as we run into these issues, you will have to go and make changes. And that, my dear friends, brings us to the end of this very lengthy tutorial, the absolute beginner's edition for people who are interested in WordPress. Let's close out of the inspector. We're back here in the front end, and let's see what we have done there. Well, we messed up a little bit here and there because we were practicing and looking at stuff. But in the end, apart from the font that I'm not crazy about, we built out a very nice portfolio site for Diana A Studios. And that when people come to her site, they will immediately understand what she can do and what she is good at. With this little bit of information that you've gotten today, you can really build out good looking sites. Bands, small stores, organizations, you name it. There is a lot still. We're going to tackle blogging. We're going to tackle e-commerce. We will look at translation and more to come. There are already many videos on websites for beginners for you to check out. So make sure you go through them, have a look at it, and then let's go get that second or third or even fourth cup of coffee for the morning. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. See you in the next video.